I'm Stephanie. I'm a whole food plant-based chef and cooking instructor, and I think you're really gonna love my split pea soup recipe. When my clients, friends, and family try my curried split pea soup, they often tell me it's the best split pea soup they've ever had. It's super flavorful, it's really nourishing, and it's really simple to make in your Instant Pot. So let's make this together right now. Now, if you don't have an Instant Pot or another brand of electric pressure cooker, don't worry, because you can absolutely do it on your stovetop instead, and I will include instructions on how to do that in the description below this video too. The ingredient list is not long. We'll use green split peas, moong dal, also known as split mung beans, a short grain brown rice, a shallot, as much garlic as you want, and if you've seen any of my videos before, you know I'm really liberal with the garlic. Some fresh ginger root, Thai green curry paste, some unsweetened shredded coconut, a big bunch of fresh cilantro, and then your favorite vegetable broth, some water, salt and pepper, and if you'd like to, you could use a little bit of olive oil to saute the aromatics at the beginning. Or if you're going oil-free, let's say you're trying to reverse heart disease or you're managing diabetes, then you could just use vegetable broth in the saute step instead. And one quick important note, anytime you're using any kind of dried beans or lentils, you always want to sort through them before you cook with them, just to make sure there are no stones in there. So let me show you how I do this very quickly. As I'm measuring the split peas, I'll just pour a few in my hand, take a quick look and watch them fall into my measuring cup. And as I'm doing this, I'm just making sure while they're still in my hand that there are no stones or really small ones that might not cook well that could chip a tooth later on. Once they're measured, I'll just transfer them to a bowl and rinse them thoroughly under water. You might notice that the water gets sudsy at first, so keep rinsing and draining these until the rinse water runs clear. And just like the split peas, I'll be rinsing the moong dal as well. And I'll do the same thing with the brown rice too. To prep the remaining ingredients, you'll dice your shallot and mince your garlic and ginger. To mince the garlic, I like to slice it, usually 2 cloves at a time. Then once they're all thinly sliced, I will run the blade over the pile a few more times to mince the garlic. This might look like a lot of garlic, but it is a pretty decent sized pot of soup. And did I mention before how much I love garlic? To mince the ginger, first I'll trim away the harder bark parts, and then I'll just run the blade of my knife underneath the bark, just like I would peel an apple. I'll slice the ginger into thin slices. I'll chop these into a thin matchstick-like shape. And then I'll mince the matchsticks into little bits. You actually don't have to be as meticulous with your ginger mincing in this recipe because we're going to put it in the blender anyway, but this gives it a head start. Now you don't have to be super precise about these measurements. The more flavor you get into the Instant Pot, in my opinion, the better off you are. So go ahead and be bold and generous with your measurements. And now I'll turn to my bunch of cilantro. And I'll just use my chef's knife to chop away the leaves from the thicker stems. It's okay if the smaller stems stay in with the leaves. In your blender bucket, combine the cilantro leaves, your minced ginger, the unsweetened shredded coconut. I use about 1/3 cup for this. About 2 tablespoons of your Thai green curry paste. I usually have to coax this into the blender bucket with a silicone spatula to get it all out. And just 2 cups of water. And I'll blend this up until it's smooth. Once it's blended, it'll look a little bit like a green juice. And now it's time to turn on the Instant Pot. So I will press the saute button. And if you're opting to use some olive oil in this recipe, this would be the time to add it. Just a little bit, maybe a teaspoon or 2 for this entire pot of soup. And if you're skipping the olive oil, you can just put a few tablespoons of your vegetable broth in the bottom of your Instant Pot to do a broth saute instead. Now the saute function heats up pretty quickly, so you can add the shallots pretty much straight away. And you can add the garlic at this point too. Now I'll sprinkle the aromatics with a little bit of sea salt. And the reason I do that is that the salt helps to draw the moisture out of the aromatics, the shallot and the garlic, and helps them caramelize a little bit in the oil. Once they're browning, you can add your vegetable broth to the pot. Now you can add your rinsed and drained split peas, the moong dal, and the brown rice. Then you can add your blended ingredients to the pot as well. This makes an incredibly flavorful broth. But this won't be enough liquid yet, so we're going to add another 3 cups of plain water. Pro tip here, put the water back into your blender bucket before you transfer it into the pot. That way the water will pick up the extra ingredients that stuck to the sides of the blender cup and maximize the flavor that goes into the soup. And I'll add about a teaspoon of salt to the pot now, and about a half teaspoon of black pepper. It already smells delicious, and the broth is a beautiful green color. Then I'll place the lid on the Instant Pot. Set the valve to sealed. Then I will cancel the saute function and set the pot to manual or pressure cook depending on the model you have. And then adjust the time to 20 minutes. You might have to push start on yours, but mine starts automatically. Now, if you're not familiar with how an Instant Pot works, there are 3 phases to pressure cooking. The first is for the pot to come up to pressure. Usually it will indicate that it's on, but it hasn't started cooking yet. Once the pot reaches its full temperature and pressure, then the pressure cook setting begins. At this point on the display, it will start to count down the 20 minutes in our case, that it will cook at that temperature. Then the third phase will be to release the pressure. You can just let the pot do its thing. Naturally, the steam will release over time. But if you're in more of a hurry, you can release the sealed valve and the steam will rush out the top through the valve. I love to make this soup on a weeknight because then I can put all the ingredients into the pot, get it started, and I can get out for a walk or a run. And then by the time I'm home, rinsed off and ready to eat dinner, the soup is already cooked and it's still keeping it warm for me. And while we're chatting, if you like dinner recipes like these that are quick, easy, and super delicious, you might really love my Quick Dinners Guide. It's free, it's available on my website at greensagelife.com, and it features my top 3 favorite 15-minute dinner recipes. It includes a grocery list and some guidance on which groceries to keep on hand so that you can make these recipes at any time, even when you haven't planned ahead. And let's be honest, that happens to all of us from time to time, so it's really nice to have healthy dinner ideas in your pocket for when you need them on a busy weeknight. So my Instant Pot has beeped and the cooking is done. You can see that also about 11 minutes have elapsed since it was finished, so it's keeping it warm, and there's probably still some pressure in the pot. I'm going to release the steam manually the rest of the way. And once the steam is finished releasing, then you can take the lid off the pot. The smell is absolutely amazing. I'm just going to give it a quick stir with my ladle. And it is piping hot, so I can ladle some into a bowl right now. And it might be a little hot to taste, but I can't resist. It smells incredible and it looks amazing. It's delicious. If you have any questions about this recipe, please drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you make this soup, please snap a photo, share it on social media, and tag me at Green Sage Life. I would love to see it and cheer you on. If you've enjoyed this video, again, I would so appreciate a like on it if you wouldn't mind, and maybe even a subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, because I've got so many more healthy, delicious, whole food, plant-based recipes that I'm really excited to share with you, and your support just means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching, friends. Again, I'm Stephanie of Green Sage, wishing you good health and delicious food. I'll see you again next time.